Let's talk about an interesting topic that's not necessarily always addressed, but has been thought of, and I've not necessarily heard a lot mentioned lately. First and foremost, my name is Blaze. Thank you for watching. Now, of course, as the title would suggest, this is a video about familiars. So the question comes down to, what is a familiar exactly? Well, that just depends on who you want to ask. Each person's going to have their own opinion, just like anything else in this world. Now, the familiar is commonly some form of spirit, entity, or being that will assist someone in their magical practice. Now, what does that mean? What do you mean assist in magical practice? Well, once again, that's going to depend on who you speak with. Some individuals consider familiars to be guides, those that kind of help you and help you to learn and guide you along. Others will add their aid to spellcraft or spell work. Aid in what way? Well, empowering it, helping to protect it or keep it pure for its purpose that you're intending it, or just like I said, sometimes just guarding you from harm yourself. Then, of course, familiars can also send messages or bring messages back or relay communications. It is a companion and a friend. Now, obviously, there is the talk of the spiritual familiar, the one that exists on the astral plane or the mental plane, the ethereal plane, basically just not here physically, but is there with you in spirit. Then, of course, there's talks about familiars that are existing and living right beside you, actual animals. Often the spiritual ones are considered to be some form of an animal spirit or some form of, animal being shape type of a deal, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's a technical term right there. Essentially what I'm talking about is if you have a spirit or an entity, it doesn't have an actual physical form. So it is believed by some that they have the ability to shapeshift or appear as certain beings or creatures that they relate to, or maybe we just perceive them that way. That, of course, is a whole topic in itself, is how we perceive things from the spirit world. Since they don't have form and substance, how do we see them with form and substance? I think it comes down to a combination of how they are choosing to present and project themselves, and also how we choose to perceive and interact and just interpret them, basically. So, from what I understand, it's no different with a familiar. Now, a familiar and a magical practitioner, and the reason I say magical practitioner is obviously they're usually associated with witches. That is the most common type of familiar, and actually most, especially in a lot of the Catholic mythology, they will talk about the familiar being a demon who serves the witch. Regardless, it is a spirit or an entity, depending on your terminology or your mythology or legends or your history that you're going off of. It depends on what they call it and what they did with it. But yeah, those are actually, there's even stories about familiars that I remember reading about where the familiar would demand stuff from the magical practitioner and aid for its help, or the magical practitioner would be bound to it and owe it. So I guess, like I said, once again, it depends on who you talk to. But I think, at least today, most people that work with familiars are working with some sort of being, entity, elemental, or even physical pet that's beside them, and the purpose is having that animal companion to share in this magical life that they're doing, this journey that they're walking and learning and exploring, to do all of it, to be guided, to be protected, to empower, to just add a little bit of assistance or aid. It's just you're basically your magical partner that's just going to help you through thick and thin. That's, to my understanding, the general idea of what a familiar is and why people work with familiars. Of course, everyone's different. Do you need a familiar? Absolutely not. If you have an actual physical animal for it to become your familiar, do you have to do a special ritual? Once again, depends on who you ask. You can just invent your own ritual if you want, to choose to have that bond between you and the animal, or to see signs of it choosing to be your animal companion, so to speak, your familiar. So, yeah, that's just a couple of my thoughts. What do you think? Comment below, like, thumb up, subscribe. Give me your thoughts and insights. What do you think of familiars? Do you work with a familiar? Do you not? What are your thoughts on it in general? Do you think that other people who claim they have familiars, do you buy into that or do you not buy into that? So yeah, as always, share your thoughts, thumb up, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.